Does it really rain all the time in the Pacific Northwest? Today we're talking about exactly what the weather is like here in Clark County. Welcome back to the Living in Vancouver and Camas, Washington YouTube channel. I'm your host, Hannah Dubyne. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're talking about one of the questions we get asked most often, which is, what's the weather like here? If you have listened to the rumors online or seen movies, oftentimes the Pacific Northwest is portrayed as dim lit, always cloudy, raining 24/7 during the winter. And I'm here to tell you that that is a little bit of a myth, especially for here in Clark County, because we're at the southern part of the state. So I just want to give you full disclosure on what the weather is actually like here. I'm going to present some facts and some data as well, because that's super important. And hopefully that'll clear up some of the confusion. And I figured the best way to do it would be by seasons, so we're going to just jump right into it. The first season I want to start with is the season of renewal, and that is spring. Well, first of all, I love all the seasons in the Pacific Northwest. I think we're so blessed to really fully, richly get all four seasons, but spring here is absolutely gorgeous. Everything is in full bloom. We have trees blooming and flowers are blooming. We have cherry blossoms here in the Pacific Northwest. Maybe you've seen them before, maybe you haven't. Maybe you've seen the famous photos from University of Washington campus up in Seattle, which is about 3 hours north of us. But we've got cherry blossoms down here and they're fabulous in the spring. The air in spring just feels clean and fresh, and you're just feeling that sense of renewal in the air for sure. People really start to come out of their shell after, maybe a winter when there wasn't as much sun. The sun starts to peek out on a day-to-day basis and it starts to get warmer in the day, which is great. Looking back at the weather from the last year, average temperatures for March were around 45 degrees. April was around 50 degrees, and once you get into May, you're up in the 60, 65 degree mark. I really love spring in the Pacific Northwest. It's a little bit chilly in the mornings and the evenings. In the day, the sun comes out. It's a great season here. Next season is summer. Oh, summer in the Pacific Northwest. I love a Pacific Northwest summer. You may think that our summers are super cold and terrible and not fun at all, but that's the furthest thing from the truth. I think our summers here are super balmy and just perfect. Back in the day, summers weren't as hot as they are now, and people would get away without air conditioning. If they had shade and fans, they'd be good to go for the summer. This last summer, summer 2022, we had a pretty hot summer. I'm gonna have some statistics to share with you in a minute, but mostly 75 to 85 degrees is where we're at on a daily basis. So the stats I pulled up were for this past summer, which is summer 2022, for June, July, and August, which is really our summer months here that we enjoy. That's the time when kids are off school. There were 24 days that were hotter than 90 degrees. Hotter than 90 degrees for us is really hot here, and if it's anywhere close to 100, then that's like really hot. People kind of start to shut down a little bit. Things get canceled. So when we're in that 75 to 85 degree mark, it's all good. And I think that's, overall, our summers here are, in my opinion, so much more enjoyable than the South or the East Coast. It's not too humid here either. It's also not too dry. It's kind of that perfect mix. And it's not so hot that you have to stay inside your air-conditioned home. That does not really sound like a fun summer to me. Here, it's warm enough where you can go outside and enjoy it, but not so hot that you have to stay inside. The hottest it's ever hit here in the Clark County area was 114 degrees. That was last summer, summer of 2021. When that happened, the world definitely shut down in our area. Everything was canceled. We're just not prepared for that heat, and not everyone has air conditioning. So that was a little rough. But yeah, love summer here. All right, and the next season would be fall. Don't even get me started on fall. I just love fall. We're coming into that season right now, and if you live somewhere currently that's flat, dry, kind of barren of anything interesting in the landscape, you're in for a treat. It's gonna seem like a fairy tale here in the Pacific Northwest. If you look around come October, November time, the leaves really start changing color and falling. You get red and orange and yellow and brown, and it's just so gorgeous. Here in the Pacific Northwest in Clark County, fall is really out of a movie, like it is true. It's usually still pretty warm in September, and the sun still shines through in October as well for most of that month. So it's still pretty nice in the day. It gets colder in the evenings and the mornings. Everyone just really gets into the spirit here when autumn comes. We've got corn mazes and pumpkin patches and festivals on the farm and whatnot, and everyone's got their pumpkin spice latte, cozy mode. I always get my candles out. So I want to share the statistics I found on Weather Underground about temperatures in fall. In September, it's still pretty warm, it's nice. It's 60s and 70s for the most part with the sun shining. In October, it's mostly the mid 50s, some 40s. And then November, it starts to get colder, like 45 degrees and less. All right, and the one you've all been waiting for, winter. Winter in the Pacific Northwest in Clark County, Washington, Southwest Washington. What the heck is it like? Frankly, I really like the season. I think it's fun. I think it makes you appreciate the other seasons more, but it does not rain 24/7. We do mostly have gray skies, but the sun does still peek through. So it's not like it's gray for literally 3 months. Like, we have our sunny days. The rainfall is intermittent, so there are some days where it doesn't rain. There are some days where it'll mist or barely sprinkle. There are some days where it rains pretty hard, and there are occasional days where there's a downpour. I'm putting up here on the screen the graph I found online about the rainfall recently, so you can check that out. Definitely do your own research as well. As for snow in the winter, that's a question I get a lot. How many times does it snow? What's the snow like? We usually get snow here 1 to 2 times a year in the winter, and it's usually a dusting or an inch or two, not very much. And it's funny because sometimes people will say, well, I don't want to live on a hill because if it snows, usually they're saying that if they're coming from somewhere where snow is a really big deal and it stays for many months out of the year. But here, like I said, once or twice a year, it's a dusting. You can totally drive in it, but people do freak out a little bit. They cancel everything. School's always canceled. And yeah, so if you're in the city, don't worry about it. If you live in Brush Prairie, Hawkinson, Battleground, you'll probably get a little bit more snow up there, but it's just enough to take the pictures and go outside and make the snowman, but not enough to inconvenience you. Overall, I really personally love the weather here in the Pacific Northwest. I think I really took it for granted growing up in the area. It's easy to say the grass is greener on the other side, somewhere else has it better, but we really truly do get all 4 seasons fully here, and I think that's such a blessing to experience. I wanted to present you with the facts, and I've sprinkled in a little bit of my opinion in here as well. At the end of the day, it's personal choice if you like it or not. I get people in the comments that love the weather. I get people in the comments that are saying, the Pacific Northwest weather sucks. You suck. You're lying. Well, you know, at the end of the day, it's all opinion. So if this seems like it's gonna fit for you, then that's great. And if it's not, then we wish you well finding somewhere else that's a better fit. Thank you so much for watching this video, and hey, if you're thinking about moving to Vancouver, Camas, or Clark County, Washington, we'd love to be of service to you here at Dubyne Realty Group. So please reach out to myself and my team via email, text, or DM on Instagram, and we would love to serve you. If you want to stay connected with us, you can find us on Instagram at Hannah Dubyne and sign up for our weekend newsletter, Weekend Happenings with Hannah, where we post about the best 4 or 5 events every weekend, or straight to your inbox. We don't post about it. And we will see you next week. Bye.